All right. Hey, good morning. It is our third attempt. It's actually 11:11 here. And it's 1:11 where Patricia is because she's in Greece at the moment. So let's see if this works. It's our third attempt at trying to go live. Let's see if this works. If not, we're going to do a Zoom and I'll post that. Listen,
Old school.
11:11 for me and 1:11 for you. That's when it worked, finally. So they're just messing with us. They're just messing with us. It's lovely to see you.
Yes, you too.
Finally. It only took us
We
11
made
minutes. I
it.
mean, in fairness, I feel a little bit like a Facebook dinosaur. I mean, I started live streaming when it was, Periscope. Do you remember Periscope
Oh my
back in the
God,
day?
yes. I remember Periscope.
Before
Yeah.
Facebook Live even existed?
Yes. I remember Periscope is right.
Oh,
Oh my
I
God,
mean,
way back when.
yeah, I feel like very old. Um, anyway, I mean dinosaurs in terms of Facebook type. But anyway,
Figuring it out.
exactly. But we're here, and that is the main
Yes,
thing. So
we are.
thank you
Good to
so
see
much
you.
for joining me. I know it's so nice to see you. I just
Welcome.
love you and your energy always. You're just the smiliest, happiest person on the planet that I know.
Oh,
Like literally
thanks.
you just glow. And no, we're not here to talk about your skincare routine, but I do think I do think Feng Shui that we are going to talk about
Hmm.
probably contributes to your happiness levels. um, and you live it, and so you just exude this beautiful happiness, and I think partly or mainly that's down to Feng Shui. What do you
Hmm.
reckon?
Yes, 100%. I actually feel like I'm getting younger as I move more into like really honoring the energy of feng shui and how it is about this journey with the elements, balancing your home, and then it pushes you to rebalance yourself. Like it's this, like, when your environment is so connected to and in sync with the harmony and wanting peace, that it's going to push you to do that and demand that in your own life as well. So for sure.
So let's take one step back. So we're going to talk a little bit
Hmm.
about Feng Shui, and I'll tell you a little bit about my story. But
Hmm.
for anyone that's new, and I know I used to be one of those people who was like, oh, it's some energy thing. I mean, this was way back before I really got things. But can you
Yeah.
just tell us a little bit basic? I mean, I called this 101. What is Feng
Hmm.
Shui? Back to basics. And
Yeah, for sure.
why is it important?
So feng shui is like acupuncture for your home. And when you translate feng shui into like normal English, like if you're talking about what does it mean? It means good health and good harvest. And essentially it's about making your home that's good for everybody, healthy home for everybody, to support them in their health, their vibrancy, and also the harvest. This is a 5,000-year-old practice. And the harvest is where the wealth and the money comes in. So it's like everybody wants to live in a house where everyone's healthy, happy, and wealthy. And that's essentially what it's all about. I thought that I don't know, for some reason, I think you would love this, but back in the 80s and 90s, feng shui was getting bigger in the West, but actually it was completely banned in China.
Oh, wow.
So, like, masters got persecuted for teaching feng shui. It was completely illegal.
Oh,
And
yeah.
even our teachers themselves, like, put their lives at risk basically to bring it to the West, and to also that it could keep it alive. Because they didn't want, like, in that era, they didn't want this such a powerful practice in the hands of, the normal people.
I mean, I was just talking to this yesterday about how they did a mass book burning in the whole of
Mhm.
China. They just said we don't want education is evil or bad or whatever, and they just went and did that. So
Yeah.
that's wild. I had no
Yeah.
idea it had been banned. Do you know, most things that have been uh, or are censored are the things I want to know about. Let's be honest.
I was like, why did
Because
Joanna love
there's a
this?
reason for that, because it's usually really good, right? So now,
Yeah.
why are not all homes um, promoting happy, healthy, abundant, lives for people anyway? Why would my home be different from my next door neighbor's, for instance?
So feng shui is a little bit like every house is built and it has its own natal chart, essentially, just like astrology. So when it's born, it has its own energies. And essentially, what we do in feng shui is to bring it into full harmony. There's four different houses that can be, there's four different specific house types. So when a house is built, it is built. And then it's like, okay, well, now we're going to check what it is. Like, is it good for people, bad for people, good for money, bad for money? And every shape of a house is different. But basically, when your house is, it's back to like 5,000 years ago when people were building, when they started building a house, they were just so much more connected to the earth and to nature and looking at where is the most auspicious place to build my house. So fast forward to today, where it's like, oh, let's find this plot of land, let's put all these houses up and see what happens. There was a disconnect between like, oh, we should actually really consciously and intentionally choose the best place for our house to be built. And that's not what's happened. So essentially, what we do now is look at the house and see, okay, well, this house is whatever type, and how do we balance it? How do we bring it back into balance? So there's houses that are like people will ask me like, how do I know a house that's good feng shui or bad feng shui? And I'm like, it's not the house, it's what's happening in your life, And Joanna, like, you could totally testify for this, So we talked
I'm
years ago, it's not, it's like, you could kind of think, we think that feng shui is like an aesthetic thing, but it's more energetic. And essentially, when somebody moves into a house that has bad feng shui, it's going to project out into that person's life. So your bank account's going to be affected, or your relationships are going to be affected, or your health, or your fertility, or like all the different aspects of your life could be impacted because the energy of the house is creating this within your life and mirroring it out into it. So a bad feng shui house is like, well, how's your relationships? How's your family? How's things going in your business? Like, that essentially is the reflection. And that when I'm like, well, your house is bad feng shui in that particular
yeah.
aspect. But can you change it? Yes, you can.
Right. I mean, I find it a little bit like chicken and egg. I don't know if that makes sense, right? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, is it me? Is it my house? Do I change my house? Do I change myself? And I think we've both been on these beautiful spiritual awakenings and journeys and done so much inner work. And, externally, I did work for 4 years when I didn't have a house. So I was on the road traveling. But I did find every time I moved to a different Airbnb, there was a different energy. There was something there in that place that I was staying. And then I would sort of wake up one morning and be like, oh, I'm done here. I'm complete here. Or I'd have some big healing, or I'd see a healer locally, or I'd have some sort of experience when I was journaling that morning, some breakthrough. And then I'm like, oh, I'd wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm complete here. And I'd move on to the next place. It was really, I mean, it was sort of a very interesting experience. And I didn't have control, I suppose, in those environments to feng shui my space if I was only there for 3 weeks or going to the next event. So I was kind of, I suppose, at the mercy of the universe and the winds. But when I did finally have a house after all my years on the road, I found this beautiful, what I thought was perfect beach house, right? 2 blocks from the beach. It was a brand new build, and nobody had ever lived in it. So I actually was like, this is amazing, because I'm very aware of the energies, and I know, having spoken to you, that, people leave energies in spaces. I remember you were getting depressed because you were sitting on somebody's couch, who somebody had been depressed sitting on your couch, and then you went back to your home, sat in the same space, and you were getting depressed. So I know that energy imprints in spaces and in furniture. And so I was like, I'm moving into this brand new home. What could be more special than that? There's going to be no energy imprints that I have to worry about. So I wasn't really too concerned about it. It also felt expansive. It was, it was all white and beautiful marble countertops and polished concrete. And I was like, this feels expansive. I had my first swimming pool, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my next level house. I have upgraded, girlfriend. But the same day I moved into that house, right, I also had terrible conjunctivitis. I was not in a good space while moving. Also, if I think back, it was the middle of Mercury retrograde, probably not a good time to sign a lease. But anyway, I was oblivious to all of this. And but I moved in that day. My 2 biggest, my highest paying monthly clients quit on the same day I moved into that house. So I had a mover, I was back and forwards with boxes and up and down stairs, and I had this dreadful conjunctivitis. It wasn't my best day anyway. But then I'm getting these messages on my phone from these two biggest clients on monthly retainers that wanted to quit. And I was like, maybe I'm up leveling. I actually was like, maybe I'm in my new space, and maybe my vibe is just so high that I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I thought maybe this is my up level. Maybe I'm supposed to get even better clients, right? But no, that was just the start of some pretty serious money issues when I lived in that house, and which seemed so crazy because it seemed so good. And then I met you in LA. I flew out there, and I was like, girl, like things are not working. And you were like, you need to feng shui your house. And it turned out that my house was, as you predicted, bad. It was good for people, but it was bad for money. And so I was like, oh, you're freaking right, it's bad for money, because I basically experienced that the day I moved in. So obviously we put the remedies in, and things started to shift and change, and everything worked out. So it was like such a visceral example to me on that day. Like, that house was not messing around. And I actually felt really bad when I moved out of there that I had to remove my, the feng shui items in that home, because I had to remove the heavy metal. I had to remove the picture of the running water I had in the garage. I had to remove these things, and I was like, oh my God, these poor next people that move into this house are going to have money problems, at least until the next Chinese New Year, or until the energy of this home shifts. And I was like, but how? I was in such a rush to get out of the country and get back because my dad wasn't well. But I was like, you can't explain that to an estate agent, right? Like, you don't go, oh, by the way, I'm just going to leave this random stuff in the corner and this little mirror here. Like, I mean, they're not like big invasive things in your home. But I couldn't leave them because, I was in it. So
I know. And it was just so fascinating. Just because it was and this is it was a great example of, it was aesthetically the most beautiful place. Like the house was stunning. Everything was beautiful. And we think that your house has to be this perfect, beautiful house, and it's going to be good feng shui because it looks visually good. But absolutely, that's not the case. And actually, somehow, it's not really, for me, about aesthetics. Like, your house doesn't actually need to look any different. It needs to feel different, and your life needs to look different, wants to be different. So that's essentially what we're really looking at. And it's right, you said that about like the chicken or the egg, because and I think this is where it's really interesting, where there's people will come into our world, and they will have houses that are bad for, that could be bad for money, but they're like super optimistic, and they're really hard workers and all of that, and they're getting results. Like, it's not like nothing's going to happen, in your life, because you obviously have your own free will. But there's a whole element, a whole massive percentage that with your environment that's impacting it, that when with that good work that you're already doing, with that optimism, with that positivity, with that inner work that you're doing, you're going to get results. But imagine what it's like if your house actually was supporting you as well. Like, that's where the real magic is, because it's like all of these things combine. And I love knowing, and that's, when I first started out on this journey, I started teaching a program called the Soulmate Attraction Formula, and it was all about helping women attract love into their lives. But what I quickly realized was, like, I actually need to function with their houses as well. Like, I need to make sure that their houses are balanced, because even if they do all this inner work, their house has some of the areas of their house could literally be repelling a partner. Like, there's absolute specific things we could put in to balance it for love. So that's where I was like, okay, well, actually, let's just start with get the foundations right for people, get your house balanced. And then when you have that balance, then all of that amazing inner work is completely rewarded. Like, absolutely, it's rewarded.
Oh, I love that. And I think we sort of forget, we think, okay, maybe what is good for people and the money, but there's all the areas of your life. And I'm sure you have, I mean, I'm in some of your groups, and you have countless, like, sort of almost miracle stories, right? Like, that's what you're all about. but I remember there was one time, I think you were in Bali and you, I think were you maybe moving or something was happening and you just happened to have this like messy pile in your home. And it was kind of like just stuff you needed to sort through or throw out or something like that. And something, I don't know what area it is. You'll know this story better, obviously, than me. There was something going wonky in your life, and then you were like, wait a second. And you had this pile of stuff and you had this perfectly feng shuied home, but then you happened to have this pile of junk in a corner. Do you
Yeah.
remember what that was about?
I think that it was in our house when we were in Ireland, and in the I don't know if it was when I was coming back from Ireland or Bali. Was it with the horse? It was upside down. I can't remember.
I
We
don't
found
know.
this
I
horse.
thought it
That's
was
one
Bali, but
example.
anyway,
I'm
yeah.
trying to remember, like, because actually you're right. Every area of your home represents different parts of your life. So, for example, and this is something I do love in our program and in our life in it, is that like you have this idea of being able to like look at that area of your home and be like, okay, well, this is my prosperity area. Is everything working? Is it not working? For example, there's your career area, there's how you shine your light in the world area, like, getting that fame, your reputation, being seen. There's like your friendship area. So for sure, if there's like a pile of stuff in one area and this is a really good one for people if you're feeling like stuck in your life, go around your house and look at the areas that like things haven't been sorted or organized recently, or there's like a bit of stagnancy, because for sure it's reflecting back in your life, and it doesn't even matter if you know what that area is in particular. Just go have a look, have a sort, take a few things out, make it shift it, and it'll definitely help. Yeah.
I remember in that same house, that beautiful beach house, I had some weird things happen with girlfriends, and I've always had pretty strong friendships. Really, I've never really had many issues in that department. But there was something about things happening, and they were just kept blowing up, and all this crazy drama and this stuff, and I was like, what is going on? And it was my worst area in that whole home. It was almost worse than anything else. And I was like, whoa, this is bananas. And so putting the remedies in there actually bounced one of the people that was causing all the drama right out of my life, almost overnight. It was pretty magical. So yeah, it was just it can affect all these different areas, from your creativity, your family, your friends, your spirituality, your connection with self. That was another thing that happened in that house. My home was a kind of an L shape, and so there's just an entire missing, you call them guas, is it?
Gua,
No,
yeah.
guas,
Gua.
right? Guas, but it was an
Missing
entire
area.
missing area in this home, and it was my self area. And I had been feeling quite disconnected, and that was part of the problem, was that area, because my house was an L shape, didn't exist in that home. So it's wild and magical. But the beautiful thing is, these are not ginormous changes you need to make. They're not expensive changes. You don't have to change all your decor. They're very simple, easy changes that can make a massive difference in your home and in your energy.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. And that's the nice thing. It's like, I've never told anyone they need to move house. You don't need to knock walls. It's not about hanging trinkets. I think this is where, when it came to, bringing feng shui and into the West, people think, oh, it's like you have to knock this wall, or my bathroom's in the wrong area, or my couch has to be the specific location. And for me, it's just not that. Like, they are little tiny elements that you could improve on, but like are not necessary, because it is really this idea that feng shui is this acupuncture for your home, so that when the chi, the energy, the prana is moving through your house, it is flowing. So then you inherently are flowing, because everything is energy, so it's all energy. And when it's in balance, then it's going to bring you into that balance.
Yeah. And I'm all about flow. That is my whole jam. So everything's got to be flowing. So I'd love you to just share what we're going to share today is about your Feng Shui one-on-one mini course, that people can get a hold of and find out if their house is in fact good or bad for money, and good and bad for people, right?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things I've created is a small mini course, and this mini course is called Feng Shui 101, and it's just an introduction into what Feng Shui is, how it works, and how to get started with it. And you'll find out the different house types. You'll just do a quiz to check that out. There's also an analysis of all the different 9 areas, and you'll get like a 40-page report and some suggestions to do for every part of your home, and things you can do to really support you get started into Feng Shui.
Amazing. And I have a link. So you can
Yes.
get access to that. Because if you're like, well, is my house good or bad for money? You can find out for $5. So I think
Mhm.
that's a pretty good deal. And I'm going to pop the link in here below. And then obviously you'll get the course for $5. Check it out. And then it's really just these simple steps
Mm.
toward all tweaks in the energy. Obviously, you guide them through on this beautiful course. I've seen it. It's amazing. I just love all your work. I love what you do. It's very simple,
Thank you.
no BS, but really effective, and it makes a big difference in people's lives. So I'm a
It
huge
really
fan.
does.
And yeah, I just wanted to bring it to people. I'm getting emotional because I love you so much. I love your stuff. I'm ridiculous. Just ignore me. But yeah, so check it out. $5. And see what happens next. And
Yeah, sure.
hopefully, they will get to Feng Shui their beautiful homes and have wonderful, beautiful lives. And it just, and
Exactly.
it works so much in synergy with anything else you're already
Mm.
doing, right? Like it doesn't. What I love is we do all of our other inner work and mindset and body work and all that other stuff. But I feel like if somebody's been like doing all that, but like it's not sticking or they're still struggling, then look at the Feng Shui,
Yeah.
right? They go. I
Yeah.
feel like the two things go hand in hand, and it's just it's a nice add-on. It's not
Yeah.
it's very synergistic with I think almost anything else you could do. And yeah, I'm a big
Yeah.
fan.
Thank you so much. It's just a pleasure to share. And I was so grateful to be able to support you as well with it because I just know that it's just so powerful. And when you hear things going wrong in people's lives, your friends' lives and people's lives, you just don't want that to happen. And that's why I'm like, this is so powerful. So the mini course is just an easy way to get into it. It's actually $19, but we have given Joanna like a discount link so she can give it to anybody who wants to use it. Just to get started and understanding and demystifying this practice because it is very misunderstood. And also the power of it is
Mm-hmm.
often not acknowledged. But as I said, if this thing was banned, we all know there was power to it.
It's just annoying. It's so funny. I mean, yeah. Anyway, there's this
That could be a whole other
the
line with
whole other
Joanna.
topic. There's lots of sort of these little TikTok videos going around from this nutritionist that was banned in Australia, and her stuff is fantastic. I'm like, she is amazing. I was like, we need more of this. So, and so yeah, so I love anything that's they tell you shouldn't. So anyway, so
Yes.
absolutely love Feng Shui. Feng Shui. I keep saying it wrong.
It's
Um,
okay. Doesn't
even
matter.
more even more knowing that. And yeah, check it out, guys, and we'll see you all
Thanks
soon.
so much.
Hit us up with
Thank
any
you. Thanks, Joanna.
questions. Bye.
Yes. Check out the mini course.